Welcome back to Comedy Means Business. Today we're coming to you from All Things Comedy, which happens to be a creative home for some of our guests. What we're considering is where comedy careers begin in 2025. In addition to processes of talent scouting and discovery, we look at the painstaking work of developmental representation. What is often a years-long process done with no money up front, driven mostly by belief in talent and a willingness to stick with them while they grow. We'll be looking at this process from multiple vantage points in the context of one particular artist-rep relationship. First, through the prism of business casual, the rising sketch trio of Jeremy Elder, Corey Peter Lane, and Hunter Sailing, and second, from the POV of their manager, Carly Hoogendyk. Among other topics, we also get into Carly's work on the State of Comedy Digest on Substack, as well as her curation of the Newcomers Showcase at the New York Comedy Festival. All right, business casual. Carly, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, so the main topic today is sort of developmental representation. The first part of that is sort of scouting and discovery. Do you want to talk about what was interesting to you there? And, you know, let's just get us started.
Yeah, no, I'm very passionate about emerging talent, which means scouting is a big part of what I do. And I've been in management for 6 years now. I was a booker immediately before that, and I was a marketer beforehand. But when I got into comedy as a profession, scouting was the thing that I knew, like, I was the most excited about. It kind of felt to me like thrifting. Like, if you are really passionate about fashion, you go through the bins and you look at everything and you give it consideration, and what brings joy you like stick with. But and I don't mean to make that about human beings.
No. You found us in a grimy old bin.
Yeah.
Known as
You flipped us.
You spoke to me.
Yeah.
You found us in a grimy old black box bin.
But I spend a lot of time doing it, and I get a lot of joy out of it. And one thing that I produce is a show called Newcomers. It's a showcase for emerging stand-ups. I take open submissions. I watched over 600 tapes this year to book 45 spots in 3 showcases, 2 in New York, 1 in LA. So I feel very confident and authoritative talking about what I'm looking for. It's a different process for everybody. There are senior managers who do it, and there are senior managers who don't do it. But I do think it is kind of like a young person's game, calling myself young on camera. But no, I have made a practice out of just like engaging with comedy at large and centering in and focusing on talent that resonates specifically with me, and that I have a vision for how to develop and grow them in a significant enough way that it's worth the investment.
Can you talk about like what you see in somebody that tells you it's somebody you want to take on?
Yeah, it's kind of like there are steps and layers to it. Like, if you're making me laugh, like, I'm going to go up and say, thank you, hi, my name is Carly afterwards, like straight up. If like my radar is I am laughing out loud, I'm really quick with appreciation. And I'm pretty sure that's how it started with these guys, is like I saw Stamptown at Moon Tower, and I was like, I'm going to be friends with Zach and Corey because I appreciate what they're doing at the bare minimum. And I don't have any like, there's no subterfuge to it. Like, I'm not like sliding into DMs or playing a game. I am genuinely like looking you in the eye and telling you I like what you're doing. And that's kind of step one. And then it becomes a little bit just like relationship building in an organic way. Like, do we talk to each other well? Is there honesty? And if we do start to engage, like, is there an actual, am I having an effect, you know, or am I just talking, you know, like, are you taking what I'm saying and applying it? And if you can do that, like, and we are actually engaging and working together, development is possible. With these guys, it was like, I set up targets and they were like, pew, 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 Katniss style. Like, it was really easy. Like, they just listened, and I felt like an active partner in what we were trying to do together. And that's really what makes it possible to work with a client who is developmental.
Can you guys like give a sort of a synopsis of your origin story? It seemed like a couple of you knew each other from growing up, maybe, and then you were all at UCLA together, and then where was to go from there?
Hunter and I grew up in the same. Basically, we were different schools in the same school district, so we actually didn't know each other, but we had a mutual friend.
We were always like 5 miles apart from each other and didn't know it.
But then the three of us met freshman year at UCLA, and so we were like, out of everyone at the school, I think that we were the most interested in doing comedy. Hunter and I missed our callbacks for the improv team. Jeremy made his callback.
Thanks for including me.
And so the two of me and Corey went, fuck this, we'll do 2prov, because that's what real improv is.
And we kind of sucked, and then we asked Jeremy to come and do improv with us.
And then I fixed it.
But then we were doing improv, went to the Edinburgh Fringe and met the Stamptown folks, and came back, and we were like, I went to the Fringe. I was like, you guys got to come to the Fringe, and started pivoting more towards the clowny sketch world. 2019, we did our first hour at the Edinburgh Fringe, and it was really like us kind of committing to doing this trio post grad.
That was produced by Stamptown too. It was like Zach had known Corey and kind of knew Hunter and I, and then we almost did it as like a work study. We just like flyered for other shows and did that. And he's like, I'll get you guys a venue and like help you get press and whatnot. And
it went really well.
I remember the first show he saw, he was like, oh, they're good.
Like, he was like, thank God. I was throwing these guys a bone. But then we did that show, and then of course the next year we were going to go out to the Fringe again, and the pandemic happened, and we just kind of hunkered down. We all worked at the vaccine site and stayed connected with each other and with Zach at Stamptown. And then when things started opening up, we started going to New York with Stamptown for shows, and then slowly started bringing our shows out there too. And then we started doing stuff with Stamptown, and that's where we met, or I met Carly at the at Moon Tower when that was the first year. It was just me and Zach that went. And
I was supposed to be there, but I got
you got COVID.
I famously got COVID.
Yeah.
And I think I was like, all right, I'll just stay home.
Yeah.
To back up,
Hunter stayed in solidarity.
Yeah.
how did you guys land on this sort of sensibility of improv, sketch, clowning, what have you?
We started doing improv, just pure improv, which then turned to sketch. And then I think we just were kind of bored of like traditional scripted sketch. I think we just didn't like writing scripts. So we would just kind of like do loose premises and improvise it. Mm-hmm. And then it really kind of came to form when we went to the Fringe. Like we saw when we were in London right before Scotland, we saw Tom Walker. He's an Australian comic who is just one of the best.
He's got a special on Amazon that you can see if you're in America. And
very,
we saw
very
him so influential.
We saw him run the tech for his show himself on stage with a PowerPoint clicker synced up to his laptop. And even that was just like, we've had these big moments, like, I guess structure wise, where it was sort of like brick through glass window. Like, I didn't even realize you could do that.
Yeah.
And that opened up an entire avenue of like possible jokes that we didn't think were physically available to us on this earth.
And truthfully, that was one of the things that was really exciting about you guys, is that you had been to the Fringe so many times that you had a wider perspective of what was possible in live and digital comedy. Another thing I want to point out is that when they were working at the COVID site during 2020 and everybody had to be socially distant and live comedy was on pause, they made a digital sketch that was the first like developmental step in the lifespan of Cowboys, which is now their like hour-long play that has gone to every major comedy festival in the country.
Sort of our masthead show.
Yeah.
It was like an early version of that we and it was one of the first things I sent to you too.
Yeah.
Also,
this hilarious, like, okay, so you did it socially distanced, which means everybody's on a green
Which
screen.
meant that we filmed all of our parts in scenes where we were all in the scenes together, but we filmed our parts one at a time in front of a green screen in my garage that I was living in. And so we would film entire takes.
You weren't living in the garage.
No, sorry, I wasn't living in the garage. No, that would be even more rock and roll. We would be too cool.
Yeah.
But we'd like turn to the left and like deliver lines, and then Hunter would turn to the right and deliver lines, and we like
pause and
stitched
listen
it.
to Jeremy's line.
And then we would stitch it together in post because we weren't bubbled up together.
Oh yeah,
we
and
don't
like
live together.
Feet are like at different levels. It's so charming.
Well, then we just made it so shitty.
But leaned into the shittiness, and that was
done.
another thing where embracing that shit factor, for lack of a better term, TM, really allowed us to they just sat on
the shit factor.
Yeah, because after we shot that, they just sat on Corey's porch for 3 days and power edited it.
Yeah,
and it allowed them to find out jokes of like, well, if we lean into the shitty factor of it and we have like one of us all of a sudden just fade into the background and like make it look like it was like a tech error that's a joke, like we just like
or when someone would enter, we're like, what if instead of just like them entering, they spin onto the screen?
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of those like jokes and sentimentalities like also eventually converted into our live stuff. Like we like this sort of like cartoony feel to things. And I think the more we're able to implement that in the live space has been like very fun to do.
And I want to point at that because I do think that when people see limitations or if they think that execution is going to be shitty on an idea that's too brilliant for it, it stops them from making it. And if you don't ever make it, you really never get the feedback. You never improve. You just have this idea of what you wanted to make in your head and it's perfect and it never exists.
My philosophy with that is like it comes from a pretentious like 17-year-old version of me that wants to be in David Lynch's movies. But I mean, David Lynch always had that thing where he was like, money can actually inhibit creativeness, because if you're saying like you have to make this house explode and you have $50, like the way you're going to do it for $50 is going to be so much more interesting, however that looks, versus like, all right, yeah, we got all the rig, we'll blow up a house, and you know how you do it kind of thing.
We strive for a very Lynchian comedy.
It's fucked up.
To back up for a second, what resonated about Carly when you first met? Like, how did you know you wanted her to rep you?
I think that, I mean, it was funny. At the time, I was like, genuinely, it was the pandemic, or we were just coming out of it, and I had a bunch of grad school applications open on my computer. And I was like, oh God. Like, and then we met and you asked if I was looking for representation. And I was like, of course. And I think that it was we just had fun hanging out at the festival. We were just like, we liked escape room. We did do an escape room, which is sort of central to our relationship.
Yeah, I will say, just a heads up, if you're going to work with Carly Hoogendyk, get ready to do the most escape rooms you've ever done in your entire life.
I'm a problem solver.
Our professional relationship has been punctuated by escape rooms and then concurrently growing moon towers. Like we every time that every year at Moon Tower we like go to the next level, where we met at Moon Tower, and then we did our first hour at Moon Tower, and then we did our Cowboy show at Moon Tower, and then we debuted our podcast at Moon Tower. So like it's that, and then it's growingly difficult. I absolutely fucking blew that escape room back.
The first one,
yeah. Just like texted the guys like, I think I found us a manager. Texted them back, I think I fucked it.
It gave me pause.
Yeah. Or it's like, I'm good at other stuff.
But the way you gracefully accepted defeat of that escape room.
Exactly.
Essential in a developmental client.
That's the long-term characteristics you want to look for.
Well, also like, Carly was like, I'm going to be in LA next week. Do you have any shows? And the answer was no. So I told her yes. And he
called us and he went, guys, you have to be free on this date. I'm going to like tell this theater, like, we have to have a show.
Shout out the Yard.
Shout out the Yard.
Now the Strand.
Yeah, now it's the Strand. So we put together a very last minute show during the Netflix is a Joke festival.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Called it Business Casual is a Joke. And some people actually thought that it was like the side show at Netflix is a Joke, and put on like a bunch of our we made it free, so a bunch of our friends came, and I think we did a good enough job for Carly to sign us. And what I really like, you said like what made us like feel connected with Carly, when I admitted that I was like, we never had a show, we just put one together last minute, she was like flattered. And I was like, cool. Like,
I think that's what you have to do. Honestly, is like I think that's the spirit of being a young comedian today, is like, oh, this opportunity popped up, like I'm gonna charge it, I'm gonna like build the plane while I'm in it.
Yeah, I will say that's something that's a positive aspect that we have off stage, is we do our homework compared to some people I've seen that like have squandered opportunities that are in our generation, our age. We're always just like, okay, we're meeting on these dates to have this script done by this because we have a fucking deadline. We have to get it in.
Yeah.
Deadline, shout out.
We're very good boys.
And then, I mean, Carly ultimately too, like all those things are true. And then just, we really enjoyed that she seemed to understand our comedy, and was willing to commit to three dudes that have like a very specific style. And I think that alone was like, okay, like the way she like responded to the show, we're like, okay, she gets it. And that is important. We don't want someone who is like misunderstanding what we're trying to do. Yeah.
So speaking in general terms, when people are coming up and they're looking for a representation, what is something they might think matters that really doesn't?
Good question. That's awesome.
That's a good question.
What do you think she's going to say?
It's always what matters to me, right? Like, I think there is such a debate about digital following. Like, do you already have to have contact with an audience that is fanatic and
The clubs
engaged.
seem to think so, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to tour, that is a valid concern. At this point, like if you're booking a headliner who is a first-time headliner, a lot of the onus is on them to sell tickets. And there are clubs out there, shout out Helium, who give young headliners a shot by putting them in a smaller room and taking a little bit of pressure off and saying like, we're willing to grow this person, but that's a conversation. That's not a given,
Yeah. And it seems like there's less of a willingness in the industry right now to incubate talent, right? Like what I've been talking about with people is like, even the streaming services, like they had things like verified stand up or whatever. And it's like a lot of those things have kind of dried up, right?
Well, it's cultural investment versus like business. Right? Like, are you trying to grow talent or are you trying to like have a successful piece of digital media? I mean, I do think even this year, like Netflix is upping its introducing showcase at the festival to be more of a next tier up than previous showcases have been. And one of the reasons I became so passionate about emerging comedy and building platforms for it and spotlighting unfamiliar comedians is two things were happening. Like the lower hanging fruit was disappearing. Like we lost JFL for a year. That program is evolving. Comedy Central, we lost the digital development there.
Right.
Everything's kind of shaking. The constriction has made Hollywood into a place where it's kind of like no new friends. Like there's too many people out there being creative.
Right.
We don't need to be introduced to somebody whose name we've never heard.
Yeah. So traditional pathways are kind of impossible at this point.
Yeah.
For just someone starting out.
And it's more competitive than ever for attention in general. So even if you are a self-producing comedian, the best you can do is put yourself out there and hope that people find it and that snowballs, that like if you just keep consistently putting yourself out there, you will grow a following if what you're doing speaks to people. But the other thing I was going to point out that's happening right now in the industry that made me so passionate about emerging comedians was
Here it comes.
Here it comes. No, I always tell people that I have two things that I'm going to say. And then the second one, like I eventually get around to it.
Keep people on their toes.
Yeah. No, I just tell myself I have a list. So I don't forget.
Well, you're hourly.
Yeah. That's the other thing is I charge you guys a base rate.
100%. No, it's really important. Developing talent should know that as long as your grandparents gave you $100,000 when they die, you can give it to your manager and then.
Well, I think it's noisier than ever. That's what I was going to say. There's more people who consider themselves creators because social media platforms have democratized publishing content. So everybody is a creator. Everybody has a dream that they're going to put something out there. And even if they live in Kentucky, they stand a chance of like breaking through and having somebody see their work in a way that means someday they can be Rachel Sennett, like it's like, how do you get enough attention and validate your work from wherever you are rather than I'm going to move to one of the coasts and meet somebody who's going to change my life.
We're trying to be Rachel Sennett.
We're trying to be Rachel.
That's why she brings it up.
We're trying to
do that exact career.
I'm trying to piss off every bar that I feature in my TV show.
Yeah.
We're pitching I Love Kentucky.
Yeah. We're doing a reverse Rachel Sennett.
Reverse Rachel.
Yeah.
So in this hyper-saturated environment, where do you go to look for talent, like in person and online? What are the places for you that have been like a good place to go?
I mean, I love comedy across the spectrum of what it can be. So I'm like theater agnostic. I don't have one place that I love. I don't have anywhere that I hate, like it really is like I see stand up, I see sketch, I see theater, like I'm looking at like playwrights. I'm really, really widespread about where, online, like digital discovery is real. Like I'm lucky because I have two infrastructures that I have built that help me focus my scouting. And that is an open submission process for newcomers. That is on the website, www.newcomers.lol.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Wow. What small island nation is LOL?
I'll tell you this much. It was cheaper than .com.
No kidding.
Better.
Wow, that rules.
Hey, it goes faster.
There you go.
.lol.
But And then I have this newsletter on Substack that if I see a piece of content that I want to spotlight, I copy paste it into that, into a list for the next month's digest. It just is a habit now that if I like something, I share it.
Yeah.
And that's less about scouting, but it is just like
Sure.
a lens through which I look at comedy, which is like, oh, if I'm really delighted, I should keep track of this and share it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like as many reps are people as aggressively going out and hitting venues as they used to?
No.
Okay, interesting.
No.
Tell me, because they just feel like they can find everything online and that's good enough?
I don't know. I mean, well, a positive aspect of this, I think, comes through, like, well, for us at least, Carly's been very supportive and will like always come to our shows, and we're on shows with people that we look up to and respect and are peers with, and so just like seeing you always at shows and stuff like that, it also lets me know that I'm just like, yeah, she's got her finger on the pulse. It's not just a manager checking in and being like, how's show? Great. Okay, cool. It's like people know Carly, the comedians know Carly.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're very much someone that's known in the scene of like keeping your finger on the pulse and like knowing what's going on.
We run into Carly at shows all the time when it wasn't playing. We're like, oh, hey, yo.
Yeah.
Right. When it's like, we're going to go see our friend. We're just like, well, hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I'm also a unicorn in that, like, I admit, like, I have devoted myself to this way of life. I don't expect everyone to do it. You know, it comes from a place of joy. I don't think it's necessary for everyone to be this aggressive about scouting. It is like one of the things about my life that I've like done very intentionally. I've always been this passionate about comedy. One thing about the guys that I want to talk about is I was a kid in New York. Like I moved there when I was 17 and I was at UCB from like 2003 to 2010, just like as a fervent fan and like kid doing 101 and 201. But I used to see Chris Gethard as like a front row of Ass Cat, like free show.
And you're working with him now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a buddy.
And he points at that and says like, this is because what they're doing is reminiscent of what we were doing back then. And I'm like, yeah. I get it. I know exactly what you mean. I was there, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
It's fun. Like it does feel like a lot of with Chris and with Carly, it's just for us, it's been like a lot of right place, right time, big smile, good attitude. Like met Carly because I tagged along with Stamptown to Moon Tower. We met Chris because we did what ended up being, now that we've done 3 Fringes, our hardest and least attended Edinburgh Fringe show.
We were all kind of Chris was up against more of a mountainous effort than we were, but like we were all just kind of having a rough time flying out. Just out in the rain when
the one that I invited industry to, there was a fire
alarm went off. Yeah,
and friends of my dad were at that show.
I was more upset about the friends of the dad. Yeah, it was a bummer.
Yeah, it was really bummer. I really wanted your dad's friends to like us.
Yeah, my
not
dad's
necessarily
friends
the execs that make TV shows.
No.
And just in a hangout way.
Yeah, just in a hangout way.
No, of course.
You never know whose dad is friends with. But
we met Chris,
and we've been saying that for a long time.
But we would run into Chris at the same spot flying every day, and then he would just come at us with another like, yep, got this with my PR, like this with tickets, and we're just like, man, we are still like, I think for us it kind of like established a quick friendship because it showed us like, damn man, you're still fucking putting in the work for this, and like you are someone
he was still
that,
grinding it out and doing a good show every day. And we saw like a very, I mean, when I saw, he had done Stamptown once before, and I saw him out on the street, and I walked up to him and I was like, oh hey, Chris, I'm Corey. I was on Stamptown with you once. And he's like, yeah, man, I recognize you. I was like, are you doing the Edinburgh Fringe? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I didn't see any ads or anything. I haven't seen. He goes, really? I was like, yeah. And he's like, can I ask you a question? And I was like, uh-huh. I thought he was about to like get like mad at me or something. He's like, can I ask you a question? You're like a Fringe guy, right? And I was like, yeah, it's my like 4th or 5th time here. He's like, and you're like, he's like, you know my work. And I was like, I know your work. I'm kind of tapped in. And he's like, okay. And I thought that he was kind of like pissed at me or something. And he's like, I'm fucked. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you're my demo. Why don't you know about my show? He's like, it's not your fault. It's like, this is gonna be, it was like it was like day -1, like the shows hadn't opened yet. He's like, this is gonna suck. And then it did.
And he was right. He had a very rough time. They were at the show where he on stage decided to become a volunteer ambulance driver back in New Jersey.
Which is, of course, is recursive in that experience has then led to, he wrote a really great pilot about his experience being a volunteer ambulance driver. And
can we talk about that?
Which I think we can talk about.
I think that there has been a your guys' article about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yes,
unless we have to edit it out.
There was an article about it.
There was an article about
That's awesome.
There's an article coming out about you.
Yeah, that's good.
So
and all the things I've done.
These festivals are really like a high and low kind of experience then.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
You can do high highs, but yeah, I think we kind of bonded over just like we were flying to the same place and would just kind of like chat and air stuff out. He eventually came and saw our show. Very much it was like we sunk up with each other, and he's definitely been committed to like helping us.
Yeah.
He's always great at helping like everybody. He's always good at sending the elevator back down. He's like
super
a
developmental.
total model for
He
that.
is tapped into the next, like the youngest generation of comics, because he also just recently co-hosted Going Down with Ellie Yerman, which is
great.
And she's great. And we've had her on the podcast. She is doing the closest thing to what he had with his public access show, doing it on YouTube now. But he is very much like, not only tapped into just like who is funny in the younger generation, but he's had clips go viral from that show recently of being like being told to make comedy ourselves is like fascist manipulation. And like
he's been spitting lately.
There's a really great clip where he talks about the DIY ethos being used against young comedians, because if you genuinely think the only way you're going to get a comedy special on a streamer is to produce it yourself, and you're spending $50 to $70K on your own special, he talks about it really eloquently as the choice between having a successful comedy career and potentially owning a house someday. I think he's the reason I love Chris so much as a person and as a comedian is he does support younger generations to want to be successful, and he lifts them up, but he also has their best interest in mind. And it's not just about success. It is about like being the best comedian you can be and the happiest person you can be.
All being a part of the working class.
Yeah. Also, like this all kind of comes back around too, because to the point of those festivals, like they're oftentimes loss leaders, especially when you're a trio splitting one like income on the festival. And just because there's more of us doesn't mean that there's more show.
No, they go, great, we got a deal.
What a sweet deal. But while we're there, we meet Carly. We go to Edinburgh, we meet Chris. We get to, we end up being in these bars with these people who are doing the same festival as us, going through a lot of the same stuff as us, and it gives us something to talk about. And every single one of those festivals, we have walked away with perhaps less money, but also like new connections, new people, new fans. And like it does feel like each time, especially being with Samtown running a lineup show, you just get like this new people coming through all the time. And it's really fun, like the cool, interesting people who have ended up just wandering through our shows because they have a pass from the same venue, and they're like, oh, I'm free at 7 p.m. I'll go see these three losers who have been flyering together all month. Like
another thing that made you guys like attractive potential clients is getting to meet you at the festival and then feeling that confidence that I would introduce you to anybody. Like knowing that like the way that you met me and spoke to me about your vision for your career, I was like, yeah, tell that to literally anyone I can introduce you to.
So relationship building is, I think, one of these core components of developmental representation, bringing it back. Can you walk through like the kind of core components of what you see that as, and like what the process is, and building something helping someone build from the ground up? Yeah,
it's when you sign a person, you're not expecting to monetize them immediately. I mean, theoretically, like every client's different. You could have somebody with a huge digital following and find a way to leverage that immediately to make commission. Great, good for you. But long-term, like development from the get, like I always kind of expect it's going to take somewhere between like a year and 5 years, like it's going to take time. And what that process looks like is starting from a shared vision of what the big picture vision is. Like, what are we really working towards? And with these guys, it was a shared vision that was like, okay, they each do different things individually, but as a whole, I do think we have a production entity. We have somebody who's these 3 guys who are making things on a small scale, and when that scales up, Stella was always kind of the map, and actually shout out Peter Principato for being very supportive of these 3 guys when I worked at Artists First.
Yeah.
He helped build out this vision, and it's very clear kind of the trajectory for them. But the process of developing that kind of talent is you scale. You don't go too big too fast. Like how many people have we seen like go viral, become the new hottest thing, and then like their Netflix special feels a little bit like pulled together because somebody was just trying to grab that wave or like monopolize that or leverage that attention. And it just wasn't a good thing. So it didn't like propel that person's career forward. It like just wasn't the best possible iteration of their abilities. And scaling in a considerate and like intentional way, hopefully you're always nailing it. You're always hitting the target because you know, like you're calibrated. That said, relationships and material, that's what it is. It's like over time, how do you introduce people to your client in a way that it's not asking for something immediately. It's a primer. Like, do you like them? Do you remember them? Like over the course of years, people have responded to Business Casual because I introduced them in 2022. Like they'll come see Cowboys because I've been talking about them for 3 years. Casting offices start to recognize who they are after time. There's like a cumulative thing that happens rather than an immediate breakthrough. But with material, it's just like, what do you want to do? And what's the material that's going to get there? And for these guys, it was like, we've always on the like stove had live comedy, a project that they're doing live, a project that's kind of signature that I can point to and invite people to. And that luckily has been both Stamtown and Cowboys. Like I can invite people to a number of things that you guys are doing in live spaces. About 3 years ago, we started working on a pilot, and that's had a whole lifespan of starting with just the basic idea of where this should be and what the characters are, and like kind of like, developing a pilot, a treatment, outline, script. And that lifespan has been like different people coming in at different times and putting their fingerprints on it. Chris being kind of like the main partner there.
Yeah, he's been super helpful.
He really helped launch that into the newest phase of where that story's at.
Yeah. He I think that it's nice. He injected a lot of heart into it, but it's funny.
He gave it the Gethard glaze.
The Gethard glaze.
He absolutely glazed our script.
And then more recently, 2 things happened at the same time that have just been like 2 very powerful rocket boosters on the ship. Is we linked up with Billy at All Things Comedy.
Yeah.
Shout out Billy.
I don't know if you've
Shout
heard
out
about
Billy.
them or him, but they're this like new up and coming podcast studio.
Yeah. I think that they're doing big stuff. And the guy Billy, once he figures out his vibe, I think that he's
once he hits puberty, I think it'll be huge.
He'll grow 3 inches. His voice is gonna drop. It's gonna
I heard he's gonna hop on testosterone and get huge.
They're gonna give him the leg breaking surgery too.
And he's gonna get hair transplants to make his hairline just above his eyebrow.
So we'll see you in Turkey, Billy.
Yeah.
But the reason that came about is like Billy knew me from like as a manager, but both as like somebody who's out there looking at emerging talent. And not to pat myself on the back, but he was very like straightforward about who are the emerging talent, like who are the people that you're most excited about. And I answered it like self-interest, company agnostic, and just had a conversation with him about who's out there. And these were the guys that I was like, as far as like my clients who are emerging, like they are like their trajectory is so clear. We made the introduction, they hit it off, and they started producing a weekly podcast. And this was earlier this year. It was kind of the missing piece this whole time, is like you guys had been doing digital content. There was a partnership with Funny or Die. And I would always link to sketches of yours that I loved on social media. But now we had a cadence of regular published digital content that was building your online audience at the same time that we had these other burners going. And now because of Billy and kind of the possibility of working with All Things Comedy and in a larger way, North Hill Productions, like there's a movie, you know, we have an outline for a film, and it's like, that was something that came about really in earnest this year. And that was a piece of material that just like the whole picture, like the whole stove is really just like, why I'm like, we're about to reach a boil.
Yeah.
Got this metaphor.
It's working. The metaphor is working.
Am I cooking?
And we're
You're
the frog. And the three of us are
your tea.
the three of us are the frogs in the pot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While it goes from simmering to boil.
Yeah, and that's not really a good.
Yeah, no.
Well, no, because then we're delicious cooked frogs.
Yeah, and that's not a metaphor. I eat
not really a
frogs.
metaphor.
Literally.
I eat frog. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're sort of like Carly's pulled the wool over our eyes, in like a pot, wool being like rose-colored wool. Like, no. Yeah.
I'm the bird in the hand. They're the two in the bush.
Totally. And thank you, Austin Powers. Well, no. So it's also like these, like from a developmental standpoint, there's meetings that we had. There's one particular meeting, I won't say who it was with, where they kind of put us on this. They were talking about genres that they were wishing to fulfill, and they ended up saying, you know, maybe come back next year. Our slate is full this year, but it put us back on track to this idea that we've had for a long time, and revived it. And so even those meetings that, like, you know, quote, don't go anywhere, it feels like have just been refining us down into this moment where it's like, it feels like some no's and some maybe laters are helping us with some yeses in the future. Yeah.
What was the first kind of thought you had when you got together and you signed them? Like, what was your immediate feedback?
Well, one of the first things we did as like a team was a brunch at Veselka, where I was very clear about like, I want to rep the three of you guys. I think that like your tide is rising together, but let's each of us talk individually, and I'll figure out kind of like your big picture goals as individuals so that I'm not like unaware of them. Mm-hmm. And again, like I said that, like I'm repping the three of you, but then each of you individually want separate things. So it was like, I wasn't going to not service that. So right away it was like, shout out CESD, Maura Bologna in New York. We got commercial and TV film representation so that there were like, so that self-taping became a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of like, if somebody has never self-taped before, just start doing it. Commercial representation is perfect because it gets you thinking about like what it takes to set up a camera and make sure the sound doesn't suck and light yourself. Mm-hmm. What do you look like on camera? And you just start improving. You do it over and over and over and over again. Like, I don't know a single person whose story is like, yeah, it was the first audition I ever did. And like, I got it.
Nailed it.
But like, I do think that's a process that you start as soon as possible so that 3 years down the road, we're getting these auditions and they're like, booking, you know, like obviously not exclusively booking.
But
just like,
but like getting further.
Yeah. And I do think you have to try
people,
things.
Like I've had the same people asking for me. Like I've noticed the same casting offices asking for me. I've noticed the same people asking me back for different parts and different stuff. Like, I mean, in New York, I got called back like 5 times for that video game I definitely cannot talk about, which was very, very cool.
But
it's just stuff like that. Yeah. And it's taking like, it just goes to show like this is a lovely partnership of like, we were on that track already, and the relationships you were able to introduce us to just helped like escalate us even further, even quicker.
I do think that it's like the, like I talk about the ship and the rocket boosters. It really is just like about assembling a machine that produces the thing you want to make, which is just like, for you guys, it's comedy across mediums. Like you really are doing unscripted podcast stuff now, but that came out of being able to do improv and everything that you were doing early on. And it all just kind of evolves a skill set. I personally have a professional background that if I were worried about wasting time, I wouldn't have done a lot of the things I did. You know, like I was in marketing for so long. Just to be in New York. And the value there was like, I was paying to live in New York City and see the culture that I was seeing and setting the bar really high for what made me laugh, you know? I had a day job. I had a night job. I was a host at Joe's Pub in 2007. And that was like, I mean, I was seeing Cole Escola in a diaper on Bridget Everett's show, you know, like I was really, really early influences in comedy that still, like, those memories set the bar for what I am trying to do. So I think as long as you know what you want, no time wasted. Go on the journey, have a big picture idea of what you're heading to, and head on a swivel, be ready to kind of respond to, oh, they're looking for a sports comedy? We have a log line for that. Let's pivot, put some energy into that, see if it goes anywhere. Oh, it didn't in that specific instance. Well, we still have the outline. We still have the idea. We'll come back to it when it makes sense. I'm a big fan of, if you write something, it goes in the drawer and never goes away. Like if you iterate something, it's like the work was worth it.
Right. So being funny aside, like what do you think separates the kind of groups like you guys that succeed versus the ones that kind of plateau?
Some have really successful parents.
Which we don't. Despite what people believe, we don't.
It was so funny
Parents are successful in normal people jobs. They're successful.
middle class. We all have student loans.
yeah.
Successful.
Yes.
Yeah. They successfully progenited.
Yeah, they successfully.
listen,
My
that's
parents
the-
successfully rent.
That's the snarky first answer. And it's true. But I do think you guys, speaking to the Cowboys digital sketch, like you were making things. And to me, that's the biggest thing is like, how are you working together as a trio? I kind of had faith that the way you respected each other and like the comedy best friendship of it all, like I wasn't dealing with a group that was going to just fight and break up anytime soon. It felt very secure and healthy. We'll see. The cameras turn off.
They turn back on. We're dead. Then we have to figure out who did it.
It's like a Clue podcast.
We should do a murder mystery at the end of this.
Oh my God.
But we'll get there.
We'll get there.
You were talking though.
But I do think it's making things. It's like and for me with any client, it's like when you've made something and you've gotten the feedback and you feel that kind of dissatisfaction that every artist feels after they make something, like, oh, it wasn't perfect, this wasn't great. Instead of being so discouraged that you don't want to do it again, you're excited to do it again and fix that thing. And that's where I call it divine dissatisfaction, where being upset with the thing you made in any way, shape, or form means you're going to get better as an artist.
Yeah.
Plus, we all have the sickness where we're not okay unless we're doing stuff and making stuff.
Yeah.
You're relentless. And that's a word that I don't use lightly. I tell people relentless sometimes because the people I've seen be most successful on the business side of making comedy have just been, they like don't stop. They really do continue to make new things. Even somebody like David Cross, I got to see up close developing his hour because I knew he had this process where he had a show at Union Hall called Shooting the Shit, Seeing What Sticks. And he would book like 10 of those, shoot the shit, see what sticks. And then what sticks became his next hour. So he's somebody who like, you kind of figure is the Mark Duplass, like the cavalry has come, you know, like he's somebody who's taken care of, but he is constantly generating new work. So at every level of your career, that is true. Like you have to be making stuff. And with these guys, I really did look at them and I was like, oh, I'm not worried about you guys making stuff because this situation is so generative. Like you guys like doing this. It has never not been your whole deal. And we've navigated like day jobs and other things by kind of just agreeing that business casual is the focus and the drive.
How would you describe like the current sketch landscape? Like who are the other big players and like what does it all look like out
I think
there?
it's really good right now, honestly. I think there's a lot of cool groups coming out online. I think it's a matter of like when the industry will like take a chance on like an existing sketch group. Like Please Don't Destroy obviously put in some good stuff on SNL and they're still there, obviously, most of them.
Simple Town's cartoon series that they're doing with Adult Swim shorts right now, that's like all online.
I think they're making a movie too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there's just I think that there's a desire for sketch. And I think because I think there was a big era online of like creators and like individuals to attach to. And I think now groups and group dynamics are becoming more desirable to audiences. Like Dropout and Smosh are big examples of that. And so like you see these new sketch groups emerging. Like I think we've been around for a while, but like we love, or Tiny Idea is a big one out in New York.
Montessori Boy.
Like, there's just people making really
Babe
funny
Motel
stuff. Babe
and
Motel,
Hotel
of
Art
course,
Thief.
Best Actress. There's like a ton. Hotel Art Thief.
Art Thief has some of the best online sketches.
They crush.
Their
Their stuff is so
They're
fun.
great. No, I want to work with them.
But
so
there's,
bad.
I mean, truly,
They're
like,
great guys,
I
too.
think there was not, even a few years ago, there was not this like expansive list of sketch groups. We really kind of felt like we were in a very small lane of sketch groups who like, it's not like, oh, it's a bunch of stand-ups who like get together and film some stuff. It's like, no, the group is the thing. And I think more and more people are doing that. And so from that, I think different types of sketches and voices are coming out. Hotel Art Thief's a great example that they're just doing a very different style than just like apartment sketch comedy. That
I'm thinking about it now. It must be like post-pandemic and everyone's social grace is being blown to smithereens because of it. They're like, well, friend groups are less of a guaranteed thing in today's society. So people want to see groups of friends hanging out.
they like the dynamics. I think that's why people also really like our podcast, is that like people are attracted to the existing dynamic. Like you can tell that we've known each other for 10 years and like and we've been a sketch group for 10 years.
And that's been like our pitch oftentimes when we would do live shows, is like, come to our show, you'll be our fourth friend, the audience member.
But also,
and I think that's our podcast as
but also
well.
go outside where you live and make friends. It's easy. Do it.
No,
you actually don't have to now. It's
you
great.
don't have to anymore. And in fact, you making friends, and I'm talking directly to you, making friends doesn't make me a dime. So
log on.
No, but there's it was fun. We all came up in LA, and we signed with Carly when she still lived in New York. And then we moved, the three of us, to New York.
And then she moved to LA.
And then at the beginning of this year, we all moved back. But doing that time in New York, it really is like,
Doing time.
I mean, like, it feels
felt like prison sometimes. I'll tell you what.
I feel like it was more like a grad program in that
study
I
abroad.
lost $15,000. But it was a study abroad program, and we like getting exposed to those people, and then also there's a lot of people doing great stuff in London and in Australia that we've been able to be exposed to because of the Fringe, and like it's I think that there is. Tastes are getting weirder and more niche, and like the internet allows you to do that. And I think that hopefully, people are going to keep getting the shot to like put their weird sense on screen.
Yeah, like I think what we do is very like the stupidest idea you could think of, with some real good theatrical conventions and rehearsal and like
Oh yeah, whenever I pitch
meaning
Cowboys.
put behind it. And I
Production
think
value plus absurdity.
Yeah, and I think it's because like it just, the way the world's going, there's so much heady, like 10 years ago when we were coming up, heady, witty dialogue comedy and like political leaning comedy, I think was the in. And now I think that's just because that's what's flooding your brain every moment of the day from real life, that you're like, I would like to see the stupidest thing possible.
Well, Obama was president and everyone was happy, and like and so we could be like but right now everyone's like, I don't want to think about
Obama was
anything.
president. We were too young to know about the drones. Like, it was awesome.
Obama was president and we weren't old enough to understand what that meant.
We were old enough to understand foreign policy.
But like, there are a lot of great people making some great stuff right now, and it feels like it's even in the 10 years that we've been doing it, it's like been growing in this fun direction. Like Auntie Donna getting us their sketch show on Netflix, I think is like a great thing to point to, and also all the cool comedy people that we looked up to when we were younger making funky weird horror movies now is another cool thing. It's just the sensibilities.
The fact that Zach Kreger
weird.
is like the king of horror now, and he's about to direct a fucking Resident Evil movie.
But I do think,
which is why we're doing this.
And Curry
also
Barker is next in line.
yeah, they're great too.
I just watched them. Chris Reinecker has a short film that I think is debuting today, as of this recording, that Curry and Cooper were in, called Fly Me to the Earth or Fly Me to the Moon.
It's Fly Me to the Earth.
Fly Me to the Earth. They're great. They have such a fun sensibility, and they have such like, and I think that horror and comedy are similar in that it's just like tension, laugh, or tension, scream, and there's a reason why comedians are good at horror. But like it's the absurd and we've added a lot of sort of like tense, weird moments in our shows to create funnier moments. And it's just fun to see everyone get weirder.
Everyone's getting weirder, and I do think it's a rising tide.
That's the headline.
Yeah,
Everyone's getting weirder. It's actually getting crazier and crazier
out here.
We live in a
What
society.
do you get? Weirder and scarier. We're all becoming the Joker. Every comedian's goal in life is to be the Joker. And if they tell you otherwise, they're lying to you.
They're lying.
I do think something's gonna pop for like if it's for us, if it's for somebody else, and I do think it's a rising tide.
Yeah.
Lifts all ships. Like I think there's a cool undercurrent of sketch comedy in this very absurdist way that I think
You either see somebody's either excited about monoculture being gone or excited about like everybody having a chance these days. But you definitely, I mean, I don't know. I hear people like bemoaning the loss of monoculture, and I'm like, couldn't be me.
Couldn't be me. Yeah.
So, did you mention what the biggest like win of the last year has been for you guys collectively?
It's so funny because one of the reasons I love talking about the developmental process with you guys is it has truly been slow gains. And I do think we are still like waiting for what we call our horsepipe moment.
Yeah.
I'm not going to unpack that.
Nope.
hell yeah.
But like it has just been like putting things in the right position and feeling kind of like we're at the check moment rather than the checkmate. And it's, I mean, this year, to me, it was the culmination of Cowboys kind of like really checking off the box of where can we take this? What are the credits that this piece of comedy can accrue? And we got them. Like we completed the like comedy festival bingo card.
Yeah. We did it.
We got the Thanos glove of comedy.
It has
festivals.
six week off Broadway run, Edinburgh, JFL Moon Tower, JFL.
Buffalo.
We have
SF Sketch Fest, New York Comedy Fest.
We've got some good stuff coming up with it soon.
And then just stuff that we can't talk about, but maybe we like rehash when it happens. Just like they've been pitching their TV show and they've been pitching their movie, and we're like the pieces are just lining up where it's like, oh, we wouldn't have been able to do this 3 years ago, both because the relationships were not primed and the script was not there. You know, like it took time to build. It was built very intentionally.
Yeah.
And I guess the like take home point for me on this podcast, like one of the reasons I wanted to have like a platform to say it is that is not necessarily a business decision. You know, it is an artistic and cultural investment of time and energy. And the payoff has always just been like the relationship, the we're doing it factor, the possibility of where we're going with it. But like, yeah, it's tough to tell managers, representatives who work at big companies, like invest 3 years of your time when the income is speculative. People don't like that.
And it's like a very hard time out there right now. So it's
constriction means no new friends in Hollywood. You know, like we don't have enough room on the platform. We're getting laid off ourselves. Everybody's scared and risk averse.
But then recently we had a great meeting come about because of a relationship I made in Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's worth it to be there.
We have found that it's like, I don't even think this is advice we can give anybody except perform comedy for 10 years with your two best friends.
Yeah, go back in time.
Go back in time. But it's like things like that where it has been through these non-traditional means that we've gotten into these traditional spaces.
Yeah.
Last question. What is the end game for you all as a group, as individuals? Is one of you wanting to be a Zach Kreger, or like what are you all thinking about?
It's a great question.
I mean, it's definitely like in the short term, long term, TV show starring us, by us, and live performing. And now that the podcast has been going as well it is for the year, I don't have any desire to stop that anytime soon. I think just keep making the best stuff we can. And like, again, if all these deals fell through and the Hollywood died tomorrow, I'd give us 2 weeks. We're doing a backyard show again. Like we have that. And to that point, as individuals, at least, like I have grown up being an actor my entire life, and that's what I'm going to do until I'm dead. And I less so want to make a Zach Kreger movie, and I want to be in the Zach Kreger movie. And
Awesome.
That's my ideal.
I've always been leaning towards like the writing and directing side of things. Like anytime we have a digital project, I step up to be the director. Like we made a short film back when we were in New York, and I was the director of that.
Feels like there's a real need. There's there's an overflow of comedic on-screen talent, but there's the need for people behind the camera to shepherd these projects. Like, where is the Judd Apatow of today? Like, you have Rachel Sennett and people like that, but there's not that many you can.
And that's my favorite thing. And those are the people that I really look up to the most. And I really like performing. Honestly, at the end of the day, for me, I just like performing with these two guys. Like,
If nobody knows this about Jeremy, who's listening, he's the current tech on Stamptown, which is basically how can you participate as a comedian with a show where you're doing the sound and the lights, like, and you do have a comedic voice as sound and lights in Stamptown.
Yeah, he's fully a performer behind the board.
Yeah, and I kind of love the anonymity of it. Like, I don't need to be on stage. I just like having that kind of comedic influence. And yeah, I just really like being able to write and direct and work with other comedians and like help like shape things into like what other people want it to be. And it's just a skill I'm trying to hone more and more. And yeah, I think that's...
And you're really good at doing it in real time. Like, just a quick story. Stamptown was playing Lincoln Center. It was a gigantic audience, huge show. And Jeremy did this thing to Zach on stage to fuck with him, where at one point an emergency vehicle like drives past Lincoln Center and we see the sirens and it's obviously a real interruption to the show. And then later in the show, Jeremy had downloaded a sound cue to make Zach think it was happening again. And he just kept bringing the emergency vehicle sound back.
I looked up like New York ambulance sound effects and I kept playing it. And then I was able to like start and stop it. He's like, are you playing that? I just go like, whoop. I love the improvised feel of that. Yeah. And yeah, just sort of.
And you don't start out good at that. It takes practice.
No, it takes a lot of practice. And like being on that side of Stamptown too, I've really been able to like fit into sort of a director role in that I've just been able to like zoom out and like look at it. Like when everyone else is on stage, I'm able to like watch from afar and be like, hey, like let's try doing it this way. Cause as I watch it, there's different ways to like get what we're trying to do across.
Yeah.
And what about for you?
My main goal is to blow up and act like I don't know nobody.
No. Could have been anything.
Corey's most likely to change.
I do feel like I'm standing on the shoulders of giants and I will undercut them at any point. I think that it's like my first inspiration that has kind of pivoted the way that I perform was going to the Edinburgh Fringe and seeing all these clowns. And like, then I went to Gaulier for a summer course and studied clown and in Paris. And like, I think that there's definitely a, like, in performing with Business Casual and getting a lot more freedom with Stamptown to do more like characters that I think like are pushing myself out of my comfort zone. I think that there is like a one-man show ahead of me. But I've also really enjoyed, I do a lot of our like, when we do tours, I'm producing those, and I've been doing a lot of producing for Stamptown, and I'm gonna a friend of mine from childhood actually is doing a short film, and he asked me to come on and produce it. And I think that is something like I love performing. I want to be in like on TV. I want to be on stage, but I think that in the last couple of years, I've found a lot of joy just helping people make their thing happen. And when Zach did the Jack Tucker comedy stand-up hour, I was we joked that my role was emotional support person, and
you had a vest.
I had a little vest, and like
you got
I
to
think
come on the plane.
Yeah, one of my credits in the special, instead of best boy, it's bestest boy.
Very best boy.
Very best boy. Yeah. So yeah, like I think that there's definitely something that I'm trying to do more of is just like I like lending a hand, and I think that I like looking at things with like an overview and filling in pieces for other people who maybe don't, see things the way that I see them.
I'll also point out, like, there has been no mission drift as far as these three saying that as to their individual interests, like actor, director, writer, producer, actor. That was like what we talked about at Veselka. And I think as a whole, it's like those pieces fit together so well that the vision has always been production company. And the next first step, I think, like what we're really looking forward to is a higher budget produced TV show that they have created. And I know that's a market that is perilous. you get really excited because an opportunity pops up and then it disappears. But like, again, the stability of this group is, I think, like the security of the relationship.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a really fun and interesting episode. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for
enjoyed
having
the conversation.
us.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
you.
really appreciate it.
I love Deadline. It's the one website I turned my ad blocker off for.
Well, there you go.
You heard it here, folks.
You heard it here, folks. Turn your ad
Because
blockers
it
off.
really asks me to every time I go on the website.